The black human experience. The black human experience is only a small fraction of my existence. And when I was young, it wasn't the most enjoyable. There's always a backstory. Let me fill you in. And I'll preface this by saying that the black human experience is not the same for every entity. Let me say that again. The black human experience is not the same for every entity. So, from 1982 to 1990, I was really hit with a very interesting reality while being a human, a melanated human. And that is, not everyone approves of this appearance, this look, this body that I carry. And this disapproval wasn't coming from people that did not look like me. It was coming from people who looked like me, which was very interesting to deal with from age 6 to 14. You know, you're in school, and you're talking grade school, middle school, or junior high school at that time. Back then, that's what we called it. And all of your crushes, every single one of them, are on some very, very beautiful melanated beings. And none of those are returned in your direction. In fact, you're told that you're too dark in a lot of cases. And of course, you know, this would fall under the subject of colorism, which is quite familiar within the black community. But this tore me up as a young one, because I began to feel, well, what's wrong with me? Do I not have the ability to appeal to someone else the way that I see going on with these two over here or these two over here? What's my problem is what I was thinking as a kid. Thank goodness my mother helped to reroute these ideas. Okay, she definitely played a huge role in me developing a love for being in this body. But there's another person who helped in that matter as well. And he happens to be one of the most famous movie directors in cinema history, Mr. Spike Lee. Because by 1990, there would be a tremendous flip of this feeling that I was having for self, physical self, might I add. So by 1990, I'm 14, and I had already been introduced to rated R movies since age 8. Purple Rain was the first. And so my mother, seeing this, realized that I was mature enough to be able to handle adult-themed material. So my aunt was the first to take me to see Purple Rain, and then, of course, my mom said, oh, okay, he can handle it. All right, so then next comes Beverly Hills Cop, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, blah, 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 blah. It goes all the way down the line. And so in 1990, she takes me to see a movie called Mo Better Blues, starring Denzel Washington, Wesley Snipes, and many other talented black actors, directed by Spike Lee. And we're sitting in the theater. I'm sitting next to my mother, and the person sitting next to her left, was a non-black person, and there were a lot of women in this theater. How do I know this? Because every single time Denzel Washington was on the screen, he made these women moan in ways that I've never heard before in a movie theater. Keep in mind, I'm 14, and I'm hearing this. Every single time he's on the screen, these women are going nuts. Okay, my mom is saying how handsome he is. She's talking to the woman next to her left. They're having conversation in certain parts of the movie, and it's blowing me away. Now, me being 14, I'm looking at this man, and at the time I think he was in his early 30s. He may have been 32, 33, or 34. I can't remember which. Okay, and he had just won an Oscar for Glory, I think a year prior. And so he is the epitome of charisma in this movie. But anyway, I'm watching this and I'm hearing this and I'm saying, wow, this man is making these women in this movie theater do this? And I don't necessarily look like this guy, but we have the same complexion. I didn't know that that can happen. I want to do what this man is doing. Somehow, some way, I have to figure it out. So Spike Lee and my mother played a very pivotal role in me developing an appreciation and love of being a black human on Earth. Okay? But that's not where it stops. But the ability to attract, the ability to know that that's even possible, came from these two people. And you can throw in everyone else that worked on Mo Better Blues too. They're all a part of this. But I'm saying that that movie and my mother reinforced the idea of embracing the physical part of the black human experience. That's 1990, right? Cut to 1997. I leave the church, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, began my meditative journey, and began to understand the impact of the spirit within. And of course, the title of these episodes is called The Strength Within. But I began to tie in energetic fields, frequencies, meditative energy, and just tie all of that in and elevate that to such a high degree that it wouldn't necessarily dismiss my physical properties, but I began to understand that that's not where the buck stops. So going back to my original point, the black human experience is only a small fraction of my existence. Okay, I mentioned that I'm only half human, which is true, because there's another part of me within this flesh. The battle of flesh is so emphatic. It is so emphatic, this battle of flesh, meaning your flesh is light, my flesh is dark, your flesh is better, my flesh is not. Now, of course, there are historical elements. You can tie all of that in. A lot of variables that go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. My mother instilled the idea of not being oblivious to these things. Know your history, know the atrocities. However, do not let that hinder you from pushing forward. And I'm paraphrasing, not so much in those words, but you get the point. That's the driving force of foundation that she provided for me between 1982 and 1990. When you are in alignment with your birthright, which is that energy that you carry, when you are in alignment with that, be it the God force, whatever name you want to give it, it strengthens the physical properties. And so I began to focus more on that and focus on physical less, because technically I'm borrowing this body. Do not give power to what you do not want to see. Give power to what you do want to see. Imagine that. This is the power of thought, and this is what it can do. Now, there are some who would be in opposition of this idea. And perhaps it has not been tried as a collective, regardless of what side of the spectrum you're on. There is a power within you. There is a power within you. And that power within you is a portion of the greatest thing you could possibly imagine. Your spirit is eternal. The energy that's inside of your body is eternal, not your body. So why would you focus all of your force on something that is temporary? Why would you do that? Your true power is not your flesh. Your true power is not your flesh. You are more than you think you are. Look inside of self. Get connected to the inside of you. The body is just a temporary shell that you are using to function down here. Don't ever forget that. You will overcome all adversity, every inch of it. The obstacle course is full. Your abilities carry more force. You need to remember this. You need to put this in practice.